back into this one, boys and girls, and we're gonna hop in the draft. Vega Squadron versus NLG Game 1. Vega's first best of 2 of the day, our third for the Studio LAN Finals in Vilnius. Day 1. Tusk, hotly contested hero for both sides here, and Vega, who are certainly very capable with it, are going to remove that from the pool. No surprises on the IO ban coming out from NLG.
And if NLG didn't do that, I was going to question whether or not Vega would have banned it. After seeing Game 1, like, in NLG, they're definitely an IO team. Like, they place super high priority on that hero, but, I mean, IO, Luna, whatever, Game 1, is that really scary? Well, apparently that's not going to be an issue that we need to answer as Vega Squadron. Gonna grab no one's Shadow Fiend. No one definitely is a Shadow Fiend through and through.
Yeah, and they're not willing to give that up over to the Radiant side, especially if you're able to pair it up with something like the Dazzle the Wyvern, or even something that's been falling off a little bit as of late, but certainly does well with the Shadow Fiend up in that mid lane in the Earthshaker. So I'm not going to give that over to the Radiant side, and yeah, Doomban coming out is certainly a hero that's a little bit more highly prioritized for the CIS teams. So no surprises there that NLG removes that from Vega. They're going to open up with that Bane, and this is kind of one of those heroes that we've seen really an uprise in popularity recently, and not only just in the meta in general, but in this LAN has been very highly prioritized by most of these teams.
And as we mentioned before, NLG are running or willing to run Bane in kind of peculiar laning situations. So you look at a Bane, you figure, oh, well, he's going to be setting up for a Tiny, or he's going to be setting up for someone with that Nightmare as a support role. But not all the time. That's not necessarily guaranteed when you're going up against NLG. So, just keeping Vega Squadron guessing for perhaps a little while longer. At the same time, having the powerhouse of Bane with maybe a Tiny pickup, as we've seen work time and time again within today, and not to mention all the weeks prior to it. But for Vega, they're going to grab a Dazzle. Pretty standard follow-up. I think more or less a toss-up between Dazzle and the Winter Wyvern.
Yeah.
You obviously want Winter Wyvern up against the more physical-heavy draft, which NLG Gaming don't have, so minor distinction there, but Vega pretty much opening as cookie-cutter as it gets.
Already a wide array of pure damage available to NLG, and Vega is going to have to cover their sustain from the Dazzle with that Ancient Apparition ban. NLG not willing to give Mag a Slardar over on the Vega Squadron side, and with all the physical damage from the Shadow Fiend and the Weave available to them, Slardar certainly would have been extremely dangerous to be able to hand over to them. The Darkseer ban, interestingly enough, is going to come out from Vega themselves, so certainly one of Mag's signature heroes they are going to be able to remove from the pool, and perhaps they just don't want NLG to be able to have the Bane completely designated to roam with that Darkseer being as self-sufficient of a laner as he is.
Yeah, Bane, you don't really need to set up for anything too flashy, even though something like an Avalanche Toss, I mean, that'll be getting you some kills guaranteed. Just setting up for like Darkseer to get in close with an Ion Shell. It's probably not going to result into kills all the time, but those types of small damage-effective, mana-effective combos, those are the type of things that help you at least shut down, slow down the enemies in lane. And well, so far NLG, I mean, Nightmare into Shadow Strike, whoop-de-doo, no one cares, but they still have a lot of potential to pick up those combos down the line. As well, they're going to sit on their pick for just a little while longer. Probably gonna get that off lane. I feel like I only see Mitch outside of these jank ass heroes play the Darkseer. Of course, he can play other things, but that's definitely more in his wheelhouse.
Yeah, Gyrocopter, one of those laners that certainly kind of does well in every matchup, especially if he has a great supporting cast around him. And Bane can certainly, as you mentioned, doesn't need to set up for anything like a Sacred Arrow or an Avatos combo necessarily with the Nightmare, but allowing the Gyrocopter to close the distance, get in for a Rocket Barrage in early levels can be extremely potent. So NLG going to pick up one of Madara's comfortable heroes, and they're going to respond with continuously supplementing this armor-based strategy, picking up that Sven. And this is a hero that I feel is a lot stronger than most people give him credit for right now. A little bit situational and has been being picked up more often recently, but a little early in the draft, I feel, for Vega to whip it out here.
Yeah, you could probably get a Sven 4th pick pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like it's definitely the type of hero who, though he is pretty good, you really need either a big reason to pick him. We very frequently see him up against minus armor, so you can get the Warcry, kind of counterbalance that out and not just get destroyed by physical damage.
Yeah.
Currently, that's not really there for NLG, and I don't think it's actually going to be there in this game. What the Sven does offer, however, is a point-click stun. Is something that Vega Squadron did not have before this Lina pickup. So now they have a pretty easy 1-2 punch here, and Sven I mean, last time I saw him play as support, I don't even know how long ago that was. They definitely have kill power here. It's going to be potentially a little bit difficult going into the Winter Wyvern, Blinkers like Queen of Pain, even Bane's Brain Sap can make that a little bit tricky, but Vega Squadron, their kill power in lanes, definitely bursty enough to grab a couple of kills that way.
It certainly is a little bit dangerous for them, though, to pick up that Sven with the Wyvern still in the pool. I mean, if you catch a God Strength Sven in a Winter's Curse, of course, him not being the main target, that is going to spell or bode very unwell for his teammates in that scenario. So NLG going to be able to pick up the Wyvern in response to it, and Lina certainly with the burst can look to kind of counter up that Cold Embrace, but Lina here more than likely will be in that support role, so we'll see if she's able to get up the farm necessary in order to do so. Tiny is going to be the 5th pick from NLG to round out their lineup, and he's more than likely going to be in that dual lane over with the Bane, as you mentioned early on in the draft.
As to where exactly they're going to go, it's still kind of up in the air. You don't really want to test the Sven Lina lane. Like, you might be able to get the kills on the softer heroes like the Lina and the Dazzle, or you could get kills on anyone but Sven really reliably with this Tiny, but the chances of that being turned around, just getting hit with the Stormhammer, LSA onto the Bane, something like that, and then your combo just falls apart, it's definitely a risk that No Logic Gaming have right now. It does seem like for the most part it's just going to be dual lanes, and maybe just going to leave this Gyrocopter as, you know, one of the more self-sufficient heroes. He is probably the most self-sufficient carry hero that you can pick up ever in Dota. I mean, Clinks maybe sometimes.
Yeah, especially when he picks up his ultimate, I'm sure, but as you mentioned, really by his lonesome should be more than fine. We'll see what Vega rounds out their lineup with, still lacking the offlaner. Something like a Beastmaster could be really nice up against the Queen of Pain. Of course, having that Winter Wyvern, Beastmaster is by and large physical damage, and they are really heavily physically damage centric on Vega's squadron right now, so perhaps they go for something that diversifies their damage a little bit in this offlane pickup.
Yeah, I'm liking Beastmaster quite a bit. Just the lane probably isn't going to be the best. I mean, we saw an earlier Beastmaster just tear up the entire game, almost win the game immediately for the Empires. I don't think they're really in position to do that. But that being said, just having the point-click roar, I mean, they have Stormhammer, they have LSA. These are stuns, but these aren't really the type of stuns that you want to have in order to deal with a Queen of Pain. If you're going to try to cut away from a Tiny, the Warcry from Sven certainly is very useful, but you just need to have some sort of extra tool to make sure that he is going to be kept at arm's reach, because NLG don't really have like a super abundance of CC either. They have enough to set up for a Tiny, but as far as making sure Tiny sticks to the Vega Squadron hero, especially if there's like a Jewel Scepter on Lina, it's going to be really difficult. So Vega Squadron seems like they're going to agree with us.
Yeah, and it just seems like the mag hero here. I mean, there's still something like an Undying in the pool, and maybe they set up for an Undying Dazzle, but yeah, at this point, Beastmaster just seems really good. The Wild Axes as well. The Inner Beastie passive should be able to help them out once they begin. It's a 5-man. That is Vega Squadron. They're going to be up on the dire side, so Mag will pick up his signature Beastmaster. They're going to have Solo playing on that support Lina. No one will go on towards the mid lane on his Shadow Fiend. Seema, the Slayer, will be on the Dazzle. And finally, that'll leave the Sven over to Pasha.
Really sure where the Vega Knights Beastmaster and Shadow Fiend are going, but they're going to be loading out. On the NLG side, Spartan, well, he's camping down bottom lane as the Bane, Madra following up as the Gyro. Everyone else from NLG right behind them. Excalibur's, Tiny Milan's, Winter Wyvern, and of course, you got Mitch on the Queen of Pain with a hell of a lot of regen. It seems like they're going to be playing this a little bit safer, at least as probably as safe as they can expect. However, they're going to be running into an entire lineup of Vega. Stormhammer is down to Spartan, however, there's no follow because the Nightmare got it first. Now the Rockets and Solo is going to get completely annihilated. There's a heal. That won't do jack. And Mitch is going to grab first blood.
Yeah, not the biggest deal that they skill Shadow Wave there at level 1, but a nice little pickup for Queen of Pain, a hero who generally will look to dominate her lane matchup, and having that early lead is certainly going to help to supplement that advantage. They will give Excalibur this bounty rune over in the bot lane, and perhaps not going to give him as much support attention as he would like, maybe looking to roam that Bane around early, so bringing him out with the early levels could be certainly appealing for them. Meanwhile, on the other side, Mag's Beastmaster, which is going to take towards the safe lane now, is going to pick up the bounty rune top lane.
Previously, we saw Beastmaster going up against Spirit Breaker, the lineup of which the Beastmaster absolutely trounced. Gyrocopter is a little bit more difficult. Whether or not Spartan actually makes his approach up towards that top lane, I mean, it'll definitely help once he does, if he does. But outside of that, just being able to have Flat Cannon, first of all, to thin out the zoo of the Beastmaster, having the Rocket Barrage, though it is sometimes between the main hero and the Boar. Madra is going to be doing probably a little bit better, but still, this is, I would say, a Beastmaster lane. Winter Wyvern may or may not come up here, but I don't really know if Mag has that much to fear up here. As long as he has some summons at the ready, as long as he doesn't get too isolated alone with the Gyrocopter, doesn't take a full-on solo Rocket Barrage, he should be fine to at least get experience, probably get a lot of farm.
Yeah, and mid lane's already been vacated by that Winter Wyvern, who has looked to join Madara. So it looks like they've noticed the weakness that you were pointing out there. And with the high ground ward over to the east, the dire side, they feel pretty safe for no one in this mid lane, and the Dazzle will be able to retreat to the jungle time and time again to be able to start to accrue that recovery farm for no one after the laning phase looks to break down. Spartan a little too far forward, is going to take a lot of tower shots here. Does have a little bit of regen available to him, so should be fine to stick around in lane, but already no one with Seema by his side, off to a pretty good start. And really it feels like NLG haven't taken advantage of the fact that they have a Queen of Pain over in their safe lane. She has no support with her and has been able to harass solo quite a bit, but not utilizing perhaps thus far the kill potential that they have.
Queen of Pain gonna get some levels up first off. Also, I mean, in a similar line to that, having Bane take that much free damage, like the Vega side didn't do anything to get that damage on the Bane, they just got it out of nowhere. They have the burst in this lane for sure. They have the setup, they have the Avalanche Toss combo, and their opponents in lane aren't exactly super tanky either. That being said, they're still going up against a Shadow Fiend who's very high damage and has a good amount of range. Same thing with the Dazzle as far as support heroes go. So taking all that free chip damage, that's how NLG will lose the lane if they do lose the lane. However, they're wrapping around Mitch first of all on bottom.
Double damage rune activated for Seema. The Stormbolt gonna go out, a couple of right clicks, LSA to follow. This is a dead Queen of Pain, and the Dragon Slave for solo will be there. Seema gonna find the last hit though to finish it off, and it's a nice pick onto the Queen of Pain, who you expect to be able to snowball pretty effectively with safe lane farm. Mid lane though, they're gonna catch the Nightmare onto solo. Avatos combo is there at level 2 toss back. Will not combo it up. They're gonna put no one into certain danger though for sure, and the right click's coming out from Bane. The Avalanche gonna cancel the salve. One more right click is there. Nicely played from MLG's side, and return kill will be a very important one in that mid lane.
I want to touch back on what happened down towards the bottom lane. This Observer Ward placed by the Radiant doesn't actually help the Queen of Pain that much. It sees lane rotations, but that's about all it sees. It doesn't see anyone coming from the river. So not sure if that's just slightly misplaced or what, but either way, easy wraparound on that Queen of Pain to start things off. Shadow Fiend, that kill on the Shadow Fiend not only got the kill on the Shadow Fiend, which is in and of itself really good, and the Tiny's leading the Shadow Fiend quite easily in the CS, but also forced that Dazzle to actually teleport in. And yeah, Dazzle just got a kill participation. Actually, no, he should have got the kill on the Queen of Pain, so he's not really going to be hurting for teleportation goal, but that kill, the fact that it lasted so long, actually helped out NLG that much more, since they not only forced the TP out, they also got a salve out of no one, which is, it's not the biggest thing in the world, but it does add up.
Yeah, mid lane rotations coming out from the smoked up Spartan Bane, and perhaps he rotates over behind the SF, but Seema's in a great position to look to bust as he's looking to find the stacks perhaps, and will drop a deep Observer Ward for the Radiant side to be able to scout out when no one looks to go farm those up. But for now, isn't going to be able to queue up any aggression. In terms of the war of attrition though, the CS is looking pretty good for the Dire side overall. I mean, the top is being led by the Gyro and the Tiny, but the Queen of Pain is a little bit starved, sitting at 11 CS compared to her laning equivalent in the Beastmaster, who's right up there with the Tricore of the Radiant side.
She could poke in and occasionally get some CS, but she knows that if she tries to go up one more time, even if there is no Dazzle there, a Stormhammer into an LSA combo, that's a hell of a lot of free damage onto that Queen of Pain, and force out her blink every single time, at the very least for Vega, so she has to play that lane super, super carefully. But over towards mid, no one is kind of being a little bit aggressive, and this is setting up for Solo to come in. Unfortunately for Solo, this is completely spotted, so if he tries to go in this will be straight up suicide, and he will think better of it.
Yeah, Solo going to be able to back himself off, and perhaps just for illusion's sake, as he does return into lane, and they're a little bit out of position on the low ground. They're going to catch a raise. He gets nightmared, but this is going to leave no one with free reign. He goes for that melee range raise. He will catch it. The Avalanche keeps him at bay, and they will toss back the Lina. Nice defensive play there from Excalibur, and they both end up surviving in this mid lane. It'll give Mitch some free space in bottom on the Queen of Pain, who will be able to recover pretty admirably on the CS, now sitting at 18. 1v1 versus Pasha certainly has the advantage in this one. Toss out mid lane, just going to be a harassing one, as Excalibur looks to use that max efficiency of his bottle.
And just this day, we've seen so many weird tosses. Like, toss has been the most versatile spell of the day so far. Maybe it's because we've seen so many tinies, and tinies means more tosses, means more chances to see awesome tosses, but a pretty smooth move to get his ally to safety. And the lane for Mitch right now, there's such a huge difference between Sven, Lina, and just Sven, because Pasha's doing fine right now. Not much that Mitch has to worry about as far as himself dying, but as we see, he has to be a little more careful, because Avalanche will land. They have a toss. They're going to put him to sleep. Toss back into the creep wave. He's going to try to straight TP out of this. They have enough right-click damage to do with Splinter Blast. That also actually connects onto the TPing Beastmaster, so super value there.
Yeah, Mag rotating in, and it's going to be to no avail at this point. He does have that Primal
stacks.
Roar available, though, and they will have the Hawk. So it's a triple stack in the large camp, and Excalibur does have that toss combo ready. Pasha's going to walk into the high ground. Avalanche toss is there. Will kill him off. The Roar comes out onto the Wyvern. The Raze will finish him off on the west side. Excalibur, he's been pincered in now. A Nightmare will come out onto no one. The LSA is going to connect. Nicely placed by Solo. One more right click will finish the job, and Solo going to survive. Double damage rune popped up by no one as well. They're looking for Spartan. And Madara's rotating in as well. No one is hitting way too hard for him to be this far forward, though. One more right click. No, the long range Raze will finish him off. And they have the Shadow Wave support from the backlines from Sima. The blink forward, triple scream from Mitch. He's queuing up the Sonic Wave, but didn't have the vision, and the LSA will be just shy of connecting onto that Queen of Pain. So Mitch will have to rotate out. It ends up being a 2-0 when all is said and done. Vega's side.
I like the move there for NLG, just trying to slow down the stack situation of Vega, whether it be for the Shadow Fiend or the Sven. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. As long as you're taking the stacks and applying pressure to the enemy jungle, you're going to be doing the right thing. The problem with making that move at that time was, first of all, they didn't expect Vega to come in that quickly. Vega were onto them immediately. The Gyrocopter was level 5.5, needed like 50 experience to get to that level 6 mark, which would have instantly won them the fight. There you have it now. They're going to use it onto Sima. He's going to grave himself, try to TP out. For anything that have to cancel this, no. Well, that's sometimes Dazzle for you. He's just going to get out of nowhere because of that grave. But if they had a cooldown for that fight, for when it started, like when they walked up the hill, that would have been such an easy amount of kills for NLG.
No one in a bit of trouble mid lane. Mitch has already utilized his blink, though, and it is only level 1, so they're looking to find some return kills here. The Beastmaster, though, a little bit too late to the fray. Mag mid lane does have that Primal Roar available again, and yeah, you touched upon the timing of that last engagement, and another thing is that they knew the presence of the Beastmaster mid lane, as he did TP in trying to save his Dazzle, the Dazzle dying just before that engagement happened, so perhaps a little bit brazenly, we see NLG jump in there to their own device, but either way,
while the mid lane shenanigans was happening, they tried to dive Pasha, and well, Spartan nightmared himself and dodged a Stormhammer first thing. So that was a pretty sick read. It didn't really matter since they forced out the God Strength, they backed off, they didn't have enough gas in the tank with no cooldown to actually go for that Sven kill. But hey, you force out God Strength, you make him use a little bit more mana. Now maybe next time he doesn't have the Stormhammer to cast on to whoever's diving him next, but Pasha's going to have a little bit of free time to clear up top lane, and they did ultimately secure their stacks. I believe that was no one, given his net worth, to clear the full quad stack of hard creeps.
Yeah, just a moment ago, Gyrocopter was ahead of him on that net worth chart, so looks like no one was able to pick that up, and can finish up the Aquila and the Treads here on top of his bottle. So no one looking in good shape right now, sitting above that Tricore of the Radiant side, and Pasha holding his own as well. Considering the start he had, probably should be a little bit better off in terms of net worth, but CS-wise, certainly doing well. And Pasha top lane, yet to really get involved in an engagement, as you mentioned there. His efforts being thwarted by the Bane just a moment ago. Mid lane, feels like Vega kind of still need to put the pedal down with this Beastmaster here. It's such a low cooldown and such an effective spell early on that feels like they kind of need to utilize this a little bit more. But Mag just farming up this bot lane, looking to at least pick up the first components of that Necrobook.
He is farming pretty rapidly towards that. That, of course, makes pushing so much easier. And think solo picks, maybe on some heroes, into Wyvern, perhaps not many other heroes will die just to the Beastmaster there, but opens the door for many opportunities. By the time he does have that book, the Shadow Fiend will also have his mech. So the timings should line up rather well for Vega, where they get all those items at the same time, and all those items have a pushing slant in mind to be able to just walk in and start cleaning house. They are going to smoke up and wrap around on Spartan in the end. If Bane walks up this hill, he's so screwed. Well, he's... Oh yeah, he's not going in a direction where that'll save him. There's so many heroes here.
Yeah, and this is just economic play from Vega as well. They're not even going to expend the roar. They know he's completely pincered in and has no way out. And certainly it seems like they hear my call. Mag starting to get active, and now he still has that primal roar available, so they'll immediately go up to smoke again. And that kill actually gives Solo just enough experience to pick up his coveted Laguna Blade. And this is a huge kill on the east side. If they're able to pick this up, he's just able to fog them right now. The Axe is going to try and give them a path through. LSA is going to be shot blindly, and they're unable to pick up Madara here. So would have been a huge kill on that gyrocopter using that first Laguna Blade, but unfortunately unable to net it. Meanwhile, though, Pasha completely free farming in this top lane on the Sven, has picked up the makings of probably what is going to be a set of drums here pretty soon.
Going very cost effective on this Sven. We do have perhaps some sort of movement here from the Bane. Spartan just made a very similar movement to this and got himself killed, so he does have to be careful about going for this, but in the meantime it is Vega to just go ahead and shove this bottom lane. So we have yet to see a good amount of action with this roar. Beastmaster 3 assists, I mean, not doing too terribly for himself. Is this book complete now? No, not quite. He's almost there, but they're gonna join Sven in with this push. They want to dive whoever's here. They know that Madara was here. They don't know that he's still here. I'm sure they're gonna get confirmation soon as the Hawk does take to the skies.
Yeah, Dire Vision certainly scouts out the gyrocopter at this point, and Mag has that roar available. Pasha's roaming around, has the Storm Bolt. He's going to pop the God Strength. Easy kill onto the gyro, and the TPs are far too late for Mitch. Mitch now having to blink out. Trying not to TP into his own demise there, and they get the free kill on the gyrocopter. They get the tier 1 as well, and the trades are nowhere abound for this NLG lineup as they end up losing this safe lane. It looks like they're going to TP in massively, looking to defend this, and they are going to pop at Warcry and look to get a one last right click is not enough, but the range creep will finish it off, so no denial going to be committed here. Meanwhile, on the west side, Excalibur is going to find out Pasha, bring him down. Meanwhile, on the east, the Primal Roar comes off onto Mitch, but they get the Winter's Curse off to cover the Queen of Pain. Sonic Wave onto 2, but there's no follow-up just yet, and Mitch will drop to the raise. Now, thus far, 1-for-1, Sven for the Queen of Pain. Chase potential is not entirely there. They have the Hawk Vision scouting out these two heroes, but Solo needs to be able to close the gap here. Call down going to come through. First missile will not connect with Solo, and maybe that's a cue for Vega to look to continue to push with the call down, but perhaps not feeling healthy enough at this point, and they will just shove the wave and look to back off and retreat and continue farming. Excalibur is a little bit unhealthy mid, has picked up his Blink Dagger, however, and that will keep him safe for now.
And that was so close to being just terrible for NLG. They barely got the kill on the Sven. The Dazzle was like 100 range, 200 range away from being able to cast that Shallow Grave, in which case NLG way overcommit for probably the tankiest here that they could possibly go for. Would have gotten nothing, would have gotten cleaned up. So NLG should be counting the blessings that they actually did get that kill in the end, and Sima was just a little bit too far away to drop that grave on his buddy. Yet that being said, you know, taking down the Sven is usually priority number 1. This Sven isn't really super farmed. It really is the farm on the Shadow Fiend that NLG have to worry about, and that's still like the hero that you want to avalanche toss every single time, since I mean he's more glass cannony than a Sven. You can kill him off that much faster. If no one is going to show up last every single fight, then it's just going to be impossible for NLG to deal with him unless they exclusively save like a Winter's Curse or a Sonic Wave or a Grip or any of these tools to actually deal with the Shadow Fiend. They do have many tools, but if they blow them all on, you know, the Beastmaster, the Sven heroes that do have threat but not nearly threat level of Shadow Fiend, then NLG will very quickly run out of gas in these fights.
Once again, that gank duo of Solo and Mag has assembled bot lane, and they have more than enough firepower to bring down Madara as he shows himself in lane. Primal Roar going to come around. They will not find it. He just is able to fog them, so he gets the call down off, and the Rocket Barrage doing a lot of work onto Solo, but the Laguna Blade is there. He's trying to man up and at least find the return kill onto the Lina. Is unable to do so. Meanwhile, in the river, Nightmare goes out. It's onto an illusion, or toggled off with an illusion, though, from no one, and the Fiend's Grip is going to be essentially wasted from Spartan. They're trying to close the gap on him from the high ground. The Stormbolt will be there, but the Avatos combo with the Scream on the east side finishes off the Shadow Fiend, and Sima now with the Winter's Curse use should be able to TP out here And will get actually tossed up as it just comes off of cooldown for Excalibur. Solo gonna have his LSA whiff as well, and he should be able to die here. He does get the Dragon Slave from the high ground to finish off the Bane. Nicely played by Solo. He's able to fog him so he doesn't get the brain sap off, but overall, they lose their Gyrocopter bot lane, but they get a 3-for-1 over towards that river, and net looks like a great exchange for NLG.
They should be very happy with that. Excalibur super patient with his Blink Dagger usage. Like, he was just waiting on the high ground for someone from Vega to peel off, and if that someone is the Shadow Fiend, yeah, he's going to jump on that, and it just so happened that Shadow Fiend was the one to peel off in the end, so jumps in, insta-gibs him, and once that happens, if you're Vega, you no longer have a fight, unless you still have a Roar, but I mean, they just used the Roar to get a kill in the bottom lane, so it's, first of all, like, the worst time for Vega to get into a fight, and it's the worst hero to have on the front lines. When you have a Sven and a Beastmaster, and your Shadow Fiend is the one to get jumped, yeah, there's no winning the fight from there on out. Maybe if the Dazzle has a clutch grave, but it's not always going to happen. So NLG just find a really good angle at a really good time to jump in on Vega, and they collect a couple of kills.
Yeah, and it's somewhat of a dream scenario for them as well, getting the curse off in a choke point inside the river. They also engaged onto no one when he had very little to no mana at that point, trying to pick up the rune to get some back, and wasn't able to get his mechanism off in that one. So very nicely played from NLG. A little bit fortunate, though, in terms of the circumstances there, and we'll see if they're able to really get that going forward. I mean, none of the cooldowns really used by Vega at all. God Strength, Primal Roar, even Laguna Blade, which was used on the Gyrocopter, now all off of cooldown and ready to fight. So we'll see if Vega look to take an engagement here soon, but it actually looks like NLG are the ones on the front foot. 5-man smoke coming through, Spartan leading the way. They have the Blink Dagger, and this is a big target to pick. Toss forward onto the Gyrocopter, the Rocket Barrage is there, the Blink comes through as well, the Primal Roar trying to cover him, but they will kill him off before the Requiem. Winter's Curse is going to connect onto 2, Mag in trouble, Fiend's Grip onto Solo, Call Down connects, first missile, second missile. 3-0. NLG showing signs of life on the backlines, though. Pasha is able to pick off the Tiny alongside Seema. They get the Nightmare off. He's going to pop the Warcry, though. Pasha is and look to fight it, but they have no lockdown for him. And everyone's just going to be able to kite the Sven for now. They blink away onto Mitch. Seema will feed himself over, so they do find that kill on the Tiny. But overall, for once, Madara surviving now for NLG, and all their heroes finding an abundance of experience and gold in that one.
Yeah, they lose Excalibur, which kind of sucks. But again, if you are able to jump on the Shadow Fiend, that is prime objective number 1 for the NLG side. The way that they actually layered all of their CC, absolutely perfect. Like, you Winter's Curse, catch 2 heroes with that. I mean, that's good in of itself. And then you grip one, have everyone else focus down the other one who's just completely helpless. And for Vega, they just need, like, what, 8 heroes total if they're actually going to deal with that. And they need them all to be in the correct position as well. So NLG making a really good smoke opportunity there. Maybe Milan playing the mind games, asking production to mess with the lights a little bit in the chat, just to draw Vega's attention away. Next level LAN tactics, but either way, I mean, gets them that much further ahead in this game, and I mean, it's just now peaking into their advantage in gold, but still accruing a pretty sizable experience lead with a team that can scale very well into later stages once Tiny gets zagged, and, well, you know, Gyrocopter's Gyrocopter.
Yeah, it's really been interesting to see how NLG has kind of been able to remove that mechanism from the fight in both the last 2 favorable engagements, and pretty much that entire 2100 or so net worth lead that the Shadow Fiend had at that moment has dissipated because of that, as they were able to render that useless in the last couple engagements. So now this Tricore looking very farm for NLG's side, and if you take a look at the metrics at what once was a 2500 net worth lead has now been not only zeroed out, but taken in the favor of that Radiant side, and experience is heavily in their favor at this point.
If you look at the Vega side, they're very much so a one-off type of team fighting draft. Like, they have the Roar, and then they have the follow-up to that Roar. Laguna Blade, of course, from the Lina, and Lina's overall burst package is just one-off. You get the kill, or you don't get the kill. And at this point, Sven, he doesn't have the Solo taking a lot of damage over in mid, but he will survive in the end. The Pasha Sven just has the drums, has the treads, which is good, but until he gets the BKB or like a Mask of Madness or some way of sticking to his targets, he will also be just a one-off hero. If NLG can either take them one at a time and prevent that one-off burst combo from happening, or just sustain through it, and they should be able to, given the fact that Madra is working very quickly towards S&Y, Tiny just naturally bulky, plus they have Winter Wyvern, then the team fight from Vega is just not going to happen. Vega are almost exclusively a pick-off-based lineup until Sven gets like 5-6 items.
Yeah, the concerning thing as well is that it feels like mentally they've been forced to retreat and start to farm and look to maybe secure a little bit later of a power curve for themselves. But with this early mechanism build, you kind of want to take advantage of that, especially considering that the other side didn't have a response to that mechanism in that same fashion. So yeah, it's a little bit concerning to see the Shadow Fiend be their highest net worth and yet have all of this invested into a mechanism which they have not been able to group around at this point. He has picked up an Ogre Club on the way to what either will be a BKB or that Sange, but either way, for now, NLG looking good and looking comfortable in this one. It seemed like at some point Solo was going to be able to transition into kind of that fourth core for Vega's side, but he had an urn at around 9 minutes of late. Yeah, they're going to find him by the Ancients, and he does get the Stormhammer off, but Fiend's Grip out of a toss combo. Oh, Primal Roar from the high ground though. Wild Axes will be there, but no more follow-up for Mag. Steema not in range, and yeah, Shadow Wave, no units to cast it on at that point, so fortunately, Mitch will survive, and they do expend that Primal Roar cooldown, so really no reason for NLG to stymie any aggression. Steema's going to show himself. Excalibur, unfortunately, does get hit by that Shadow Wave, so cannot blink towards him. Has a regen rune, though, and they'll reconvene as a unit in this bot lane and maybe look to pressure this tier 1.
Man, that's really lucky for Vega that Madra doesn't have a Helm of the Dominator, so they can go straight into the Roche pit knowing that there's no Sven, first of all, because he's dead, and there's no Beastmaster Roar. Not much to fear from the Vega side once those two, I guess we could say both those heroes are just offline. So NLG, they can't necessarily go for that Roche, and probably not until this Gyrocopter grabs either a big sustain item in lifesteal or a big damage item, they go for that. But they're going to try to bait Pasha in. Madra is going to fall back very rapidly. Sven is quick, but quick enough versus the SNY. Milan's gonna land. Can you get there, Solo? How lucky are you? Feeling lucky, Solo? He's not even gonna try for the LSA. You could just see him, actually, if they were there. Okay.
Yeah, so Milan, for now, is gonna be safe. Does have a TP scroll available to him. Pasha gonna go back towards that Ancient stack, trying to farm it up, but really still only has the drums 21 minutes in, and for the position he was in lane, should be much better off at this point. And yeah, as I was mentioning before,
Steema is gonna get Avatos dead before he even lands. Feels bad, man.
Rip Dazzle, rip. 1900 net worth and 1 bracer, not gonna keep you healthy enough up against Excalibur, who is snowballing. And we did see them pay him a little bit more attention in this one, as we alluded to in the draft being necessary. Top lane, Dara is going to find that kill on that tier 1 and finds the last hit. Has a full SNY as well as some lifesteal to his name. So looking good after a couple of early deaths there. And we'll just shove this wave out as he continues to retreat. Will be scouted on the retreat. So perhaps we see a mid lane engagement from Vega, but it doesn't look like they're properly postured for that just yet. And Mitch is somewhat of a bait right now with a good chunk of his lineup behind him.
We're seeing the items really slanted the correct way here for the NLG side. The Aghanim Scepter now picked up on Mitch. I don't think there's really a situation where this is going to be a terrible item for the Queen of Pain, but outside of that, the Tiny 3500 should be going for an Aghanim Scepter of his own, I would imagine. I mean, these are just like scaling items for NLG. The Aghanim Scepter helps Queen of Pain blink into all the lanes, Sonic Wave, and then just be on her way. Of course, Excalibur 2, something very similar as the Tiny, and compare that to the Vega item build. I mean, Drums on Sven, it's pretty good. Mechanism and Shadow Fiend also pretty good, but these are more geared towards this early stage of the game, which has so far come and is in the process of going. And so far, they haven't really made anything huge happen off it. They're going to try to go for a top lane push. They're going to get Mag cursed up. Avatos, that's a dead Beastmaster immediately. Excalibur takes a lot of damage. Requiem from behind as no one does swoop in, kill off the Tiny in the end. Pasha's here, stuns up Mitch, but immediately gets gripped up, and Pasha suddenly not doing any more damage. Sonic Wave will fly through Spartan. Finally will fall. 3 for 1 in favor of Vega, as Milan is the last one to fall. Triple kill for no one. The difference here in the last fight is that this time no one took no damage. He had no one to deal with.
I was gonna quiz you, man. I was gonna be like, so what the heck was the difference in that fight from every other engagement? And
please,
you said it.
Why did I not know that?
I mean, no one completely unattended in that fight and did massive amounts of work. They even tried and defensively sweep the Tiny to dodge that Laguna Blade, which is a good chunk of the firepower coming out from Vega. But yeah, no one finally able to put his net worth to work. That's gonna give him a full BKB now, and Vega really trying to snatch this one from the jaws of defeat, as NLG looking to be postured up in a great position to take an advantage in this one. Really no attention paid to Roche just yet, but off the back of that engagement, maybe Vega think about it as they shove out this bottom lane.
To be fair, Vega never really were super far behind. Like, yes, at a deficit, but not something that they can't come back from. And they have all this pick-off power, and they started that fight getting the Avatos and the Beastmaster. Not exactly ideal, but trading that for a successful level 2 Requiem almost balances out in the end, I would say, for the Vega side. So they can keep doing that, man. They'll be super happy. And with the BKB now up on the Shadow Fiend, it will be that much easier to get it off. Of course, not super easy. You're going into Toss, Winter's Curse, Grip. Lots of tools for NLG to interrupt a BKB Shadow Fiend. But still, I mean, it's something for the Shadow Fiend to help get off his ultimate and really just turn the single target focus of Vega's teamfight into a little bit more spread AoE. Spartan's gonna get roared in the trees. There's no follow-up this one, but they'll jump down to Milan with the Gotcha already comes to Pasha. They'll bring him down first. Caliber's doing what he can versus Pasha. He doesn't have enough damage. He has BKB, but the Requiem does pop off, and no one again is sitting in the backline just wailing on everybody. Who's gonna drop, if anyone? They're gonna jump in, look towards Mag. Madra's gonna chase him down and bring him off. Seema is low. He was in position for a grave, but he used it on himself in the end. He's gonna cancel it. Around wants this experience, I guess. Mitch is gonna get hit with the LSA and will drop. That was kind of bold from Seema, but sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do to get that experience. 2 for 4 in favor of Vega.
Yeah, 2-man Requiem coming out for there for no one, but really it was the flawless engagement, pretty much entirely overlapped from Mag and Pasha there. The Blink Dagger just recently picked up by the Sven. He's able to jump in and get the Wyvern, no Cold Embrace, no Winter's Curse for that fight, and really no counter initiation available for NLG with those two things removed. The fresh 10-second BKB also proves pretty much useless for the Tiny as that damage reduction comes out from no one's Requiem. He will get nightmared up though mid lane. Madara going to come through. He has the call down available. No one is going to be healed up for now by the Dazzle. He's going to look to turn with the raises. Gets 2 off onto Madara. Madara does have the sustain of the Morbid Mass or the H-Dom at this point, and Solo is pretty much going to be left for dead here. Defensive Nightmare will keep Milan alive, but Vega going to cut their losses and they get out with their most important cores from that mid lane.
I mean, it's support, yes, this Lina, but she is actually freaking huge.
Yeah.
Fuel Scepter working on, oh, they roar onto Milan right now. Winter Wyvern hit with the axes, does have an Embrace, is going to get put to sleep first. That's not going to help. I mean, they do get the kill on the Winter Wyvern in the end. Mag does pop his Necro units. Winter Wyvern down. Is it time to go for Roche? Oh, Courier. It's time to go for Courier. Sure, probably not going to influence the decision to go for Roshan that much, that Courier pick, but you might as well go for it. You already have all the summons. The Zoo is up from Mag.
Yeah.
You don't have Winter Wyvern to worry about, and for NLG, they do have a decent amount of AoE here, but it's not really enough for them to be comfortable with going in, especially since they have no grip.
So what is the answer now for NLG? It looks like they really want to contest this. They have no way to bring down no one twice. They go in with the Sonic Wave, with the blink out from Pasha is there. Perfectly timed from the Sven. He'll be able to get the Storm Bolt off, kill off Mitch, and now they've eliminated quite a bit of firepower from this Radiant side, and they have that extra life available. Solo looking to find Excalibur mid lane with his Yule's combo. Of course, Excalibur does have that BKB available, so probably should have been able to survive with the Primal Roar down regardless, but they will assemble up towards this mid lane, look to push, jump forward. No Nightmare defensively is there from Spartan, and Laguna Blade comes out. He gets the Nightmare off onto the Sven, but the right clicks come through from Solo. Splinter Blast gonna be there really in time for any more follow-up, and they find the last hit for no one on the tower, who has that extra life in hand, sitting on that ultimate orb as well. Excalibur is showing top lane and doing what he needs to do at this point to at least garner the focus of Vega and bring them back away from pushing the mid lane.
It is worth noting that for NLG, their Queen of Pain Sonic Wave landed on a whole bunch of heroes, but also killed off Roshan, so they got the experience, they got the gold. It's not amazing for the Queen of Pain, giving up her own life for it, but hey, it's better than nothing, at least for her. And NLG, this Tiny, after having gone for BKB, I mean, I don't know if I can actually justify this item for him. I mean, it is a pretty good item up against like Stormhammer, the Lina, the Raises. It does provide a lot of defensive power, but
Yeah.
Does the Gyrocopter, can he really do it by himself when there's a Roar on the other end? I think that's the real question. And not only the Roar, but also the Laguna Blade. Excalibur can be disruptive all he wants, but I don't even know if BKB is the right item to be disruptive.
Yeah, I think he, because of that decision, relies too heavily on actually gaining a numbers advantage early with the Avatos combo, and with a Dazzle on the field and with a Yule's Lina on the field. It's hard for him to find that combo, but mid lane, they're going to not spare any expense. They pretty much use every ultimate in the book for Vega's side. They'll pick off Excalibur, which is certainly the most, if not one of the most important targets for them to find. No one all by his lonesome, and Radiant know it top lane, but they are not even going to think about making a move towards the Shadow Fiend, who has that double life BKB mech as well. And we'll have the Scotty sometime soon.
Going towards bottom lane, they're right taking on the tier 2. The siege power here from NLG is none too impressive, at least versus a Shadow Fiend and a Beastmaster. Yeah, I don't think they could actually succeed with this race, although they're going to try their best.
Yeah, jump forward bot lane. They're going to find Mitch, and he's going to be eliminated before any engagement breaks out. Came in invisible, but with the Necro units on the field was kind of a very optimistic engagement. And bottom lane, they are going to take down the tier 3. Madar's already popped his BKB, though. Half the duration has expired, and they are going to force the Beastmaster back, trying to bring him down. They will catch the LSA onto the Bane. Spartan in a lot of trouble. At this point, the Hawk is there to give him vision up to the high ground, and Mag, with the Primal Roar cooling down in 4 seconds, should be able to bring down this Bane with relative ease. Meanwhile, it seems like they've been able to extricate themselves from any danger top lane. Yeah, Primal Roar is there, and Excalibur trying to chase down no one's Shadow Fiend, and it doesn't look like he'll be able to find him. Overall, buyback expended as well from that Radiant side, and it looks like it was the Queen of Pain for Mitch to utilize that.
It was a pretty even trade up until that point. The NLG decisiveness as far as what they wanted to do, they wanted to take that tier 3 tower, and you know, credit to them, they got it. Unfortunately, they not only had to buy back on the Queen of Pain just to try to drive everyone from Vega away, they might also lose Madra here. No one will just force out the call down and back off, and he'll be fine. But the Lina also, just by herself, where did her items go? Okay, she's dropped them. She actually was able to use the Gyrocopter's BKB charge. Just Eul Scepter forces him to use BKB because you don't really want to ever test how much damage the enemy Lina does. Even as a quote-unquote support hero, she now has an Aghanim Scepter. She can't 100 to 0 the Gyrocopter, but she can make the Gyro's life very difficult. And for a support hero to do that, I mean, that's just that much power, more power towards Vega.
They're going to assemble up in towards that bot lane and find the tier 2 here. Only one more outer tier tower standing. And it looks like NLG not really content to defend, not really willing to defend, but they'll finish the tier 2 off in the opposite lane a little bit quicker. See if they look to race once again towards this high ground. And they are somewhat of a pick-off oriented lineup, especially considering the Tiny's build. So them standing up on the high ground as siege engines is a little bit curious and perhaps a little bit dangerous. And it looks like the movement will be made back towards their base. From the Dire side, to jump forward, Primal Roar, the Necro units are going to be popped up onto Madra. The Laguna Blade comes out. He's just going to try and TP away with the rest of his BKB duration and will be successful in doing so. They're going to try and catch out the retreating heroes on the Wayward side, and a Force Staff into the trees from the Wyvern. The Hawk will give them the vision, but the Roar has been expended. So everyone is able to get themselves out, and this does buy time for at least the Aegis to expire onto no one. He does have that full Scotty up and 2,500 gold in addition. So certainly Vega are willing to fight, Aegis or not, but space and time bought by NLG.
That being said, they are still getting weaker during this phase because they're expending BKB charges on the Gyrocopter. Yeah. This is a hero that you can effectively get all your damage out, or the vast majority of your damage out within the duration of one BKB charge if you have enough attack speed, and if you already have Black Cannon active, and that's pretty easy to do for the Gyro. Yet, that being said, you got a BKB, and you've so far pretty much not used it offensively at all. That's not exactly a situation where any hero wants to be, let alone a Gyrocopter, and a Gyrocopter who may be forced into man fighting, but the Shadow Fiend is so mega farmed. Like, he's got the Scotty and he's got a BKB, which is a little bit fresher than the Gyrocopters, even is working on a Demon Edge item. So this Butterfly that might be built by the Gyrocopter soon isn't going to give him a ton. Pasha is going to run to Milan right now. There is a curse here. Pasha's going to pop the BKB, try to burst down this Winter Wyvern, doesn't get it off. There's a grip and a curse. A little bit layered. Pasha's still alive. The Roar will blow up the Winter Wyvern. Again, they force out a BKB charge here on Madra. They stop for the gem as Pasha jumps over the call down, gets put to sleep by Spartan. TP out from this Bane. Do they have anything to drop the Eul Scepter a little bit too far away from Solo? And they lose the gem, NLG. I guess, again, they traded for a BKB charge, but that's just a little bit too much of an expense.
Yeah, and they're not really finding many trades. Like, the original 10-second BKB, they did find a tier 3 off of it, but the last couple of charges have been used pretty much to no avail for NLG's side, and it feels like they're slowly bleeding heroes here, allowing Vega to pretty much dictate the pace of the game and choose when they feel to go high. They feel it's right to go high ground. Now with the Boots of Travel up on Mag, you can be a lot more active across the map. and look to counter initiate with his third level of Roar, which should be coming out fairly soon as well. Another thing to note is they do pick up a gem off of that Wyvern kill, so they're going to be able to start to choke the Radiant side into their side of the map and be able to eliminate all the vision that they have, which is, at this point, fairly limited. Only the one very deep ward by that dire base.
Now, having more map control is never going to be a bad thing, yet for Vega, it does make the single target pickoff build a little bit more difficult. Unless they can find Madra all alone. There's a nightmare there from Spartan, but onto his friendly. Roar into Spartan in the meantime. Necrine is going to work. Pasha's still on top of Madra right now, but he's not doing quite enough damage because he's just not fast enough. Now he's going to get tossed up a little bit back as well. They do catch the Queen of Pain in the meantime. Backlines. Mitch is going to hit with the Laguna Blade. Axe's right click. That's Queen of Pain down. And Pasha still survives.
Yeah.
Does end up cleaning up the Bane. 2 kills for nothing for Vega, and where was no one in that fight? He wasn't even there. I don't even know if you could call that a full fight.
Yeah, lovely play from Pasha there. He BKBs and gets tossed up by the Tiny, but of course, it being magical doesn't do the damage to him. He's able to blink on his cooldown into the trees and find the Bane. So picks him up. They get the Queen of Pain on the backlines, and it feels like really hasn't been Mitch's game, though. They're going to jump forward with the toss combo onto No One. No One very healthy, though. He's going to BKB. He's going to Requiem. That's going to hit onto 3. The curse is going to be absolutely not followed up, and the toss back onto No One is just going to help him clean up the racks alongside his allies. And that'll be the first lane of racks being eliminated from the game. 35 minutes in. Vega taking this one methodically and really not expending too much or risking much for that matter. Gonna find a couple of kills over in that top lane, pick off the Wyvern in addition, and take a free lane of racks, as well as look to push out their top lane and ensure that their base is continued safe.
You have a duo of blinkers, and for NLG to try to make some form of initiation there. Again, the Shadow Fiend is the one they have to kill, so I guess at least they made the correct decision as far as who to target, but this Shadow Fiend no longer is burstable by the Tiny, especially Tiny, who's gone for pretty much no scaling, and his AC in the works, but oh, they're going to lose Madra. At least they'll force down to the BKB charge. He's immediately going to get roared, and they're just going to walk away. And Gyrocopter, nice BKB, bro. It's now down to 5 seconds, and he, again, hasn't used it offensively a single time.
Yeah, I can't even stick around to pick up that second Necro unit. That's how intimidating the lineup from Vega is as a whole. Having that Blink Dagger pick up from the Sven early on, the Yule's initiation from the Lina, and of course the Blink on their Beastmaster. And NLG certainly seem to be wary of this Roshan attempt, but just not able to get there in time. No one hitting far too heavily at this point with that fresh MKB pickup as well. They may be able to find the SF out. Actually, they're going to jump forward for the Avatos onto the Lina. Try to eliminate her. She gets the Yules up, though. Keep her safe for now. We'll get her Laguna Blade off before dying. They pick her off first. Excalibur in trouble. They get the grip off, though, onto No One, and he's now taking a lot of damage, but it's not nearly enough. Pasha going to look to counter initiate, brings Madara low. They force staff him up to the high ground. The curse is only going to connect onto the Sven. And No One now looking to right-click away. 3 right clicks alongside the Beastmaster, finishes off the Bane. With these, they get a defensive weave off onto 3, jump up to the high ground from Excalibur. He's going to try and be able to keep away the Stormbolt. It'll be there from Pasha. That's a dead Excalibur Tiny. He tries to get his combo off before dying. It'll be just a glancing blow. 2 for 1 in that mid lane. 30-20 for Vega. They still have that Aegis up onto No One. They'll reset as a unit, wait for this Lina to respawn, shove the waves, and probably look to end this one.
Is that like a full duration grip on No One? It was a long one, and they couldn't really kill off the Shadow Fiend. That's I guess just the downside of NLG's, especially Tiny, having gone for this full Aghanim Scepter-less build for one thing. If he did go for an Aghanim Scepter, he would have been able to have, I think, a similar set of items outside of that, just because he would have been able to farm that much faster. But this Tiny is something that you could actually ignore, since he's no longer popping off the Shadow Fiend in a one-shot combo. Like, once he uses Avatos, what is he gonna do? Like, hit you like twice? So we have so much armor in the Shadow Fiend, even more now that they're defensively woven, that this Tiny is just someone you could ignore. That means the Gyrocopter's taking all the focus, and so is Milan. They're gonna jump in, annihilate him, stun up Mitch, and also Bane. They're both down. Mitch on the run, has a blink out, and they can't catch up to him, but they will catch up to Madra. And well, No One does pop his BKB charge for reasons, but he still has an Aegis, and NLG now don't have any more supports.
Yeah, and they don't have a tier 3 in their mid lane either. They really don't have the ability to defend this. Sonic Wave is still down for 5 seconds. Excalibur can look for the toss combo. He's going to toss back onto the Queen of Pain. That's going to secure Mitch's death, though. He's going to turn around with the Sonic Wave, and Excalibur is going to have to pop his BKB on the east side. Gets the Ava onto to 2, but too much sustain in the backlines. The Weave's going to be popped once again. Homing Missile going to come through. Madara does pop his BKB. He's looking to man up, but no one's just going to turn and fight. He still has his Aegis. He'll pop the Requiem off, and he will have his Aegis pop before that actually ends up getting off. They do get the Stormbolt though. LSA Excalibur in trouble. The Fiery Soul right clicks are there from Solo. And embarking upon GG territory is Vega. They get their second lane of racks. They only expend an Aegis for it. 60 seconds on the sideline. Is this Tiny from the high ground? The Arctic Burn comes through. Call down, gonna hit onto 3 the first missile. Spartan, nice dodge with the Nightmare. Curse is gonna stop the Requiem as well, but they still have no follow-up for this SF. Sonic Wave is there for Mitch. He will throw it off. The Requiem's now gonna come out and will connect onto Madra. The Cold Embrace just gonna keep him in place and delay the inevitable. The LSA will be there to finish him off. Gyrocopter now down, does have his buyback available. Will expend it here. Excalibur still on the sidelines for a while though. Solo feeling pretty ballsy up in the front lines. We'll have to back off as Alina. No one isn't extremely healthy at this point, and Madara is going to come through with that BKB buff, but the Holy Missile is going to connect. The Scream brings no one low. They get the Grave off, though. It'll keep him safe. Meanwhile, on the south, Mags trying to bring down Milan. He gets the Cold Embrace off. They do finish off the Shadow Fiend, but they finish off the last racks. And that's Mega Creeps now. Madara in trouble. They're going to pop the War Cry and finish off the Gyro. 100 seconds on the sideline. No buyback. Wild Axes, GG. Well played, called. NLG with signs of life here. Probably looking like one of the best games of the day for them. But Vega, although they had a little bit of a shaky period in the mid-game, stalwart in their defense and able to eke this one out. And they'll find their first win of the day.
The NLG, they had a little bit of room where they were kicking, and they were kicking pretty hard. That was when they actually got an advantage, and it was a 3,000, 4,000 advantage. Not huge, but certainly something that you can capitalize off of and get yourself even more of a lead. They perhaps relied too much on the fact that